just not great soil here, so we're going to try to rebuild the soil. I did compost it pretty well, and the weeds just took over, so I'm going to sheet mulch. As I showed you in other parts of the garden and the yard, it's worked really well. Yes, I still get the odd weed, but they're much easier to pick out of the sheet mulch because it's never been compacted, and so then weeding becomes quite easy. And so you come out for a little break in your yard and you don't really feel like doing much, sit down beside a bed, weed it a little bit, and then when you don't feel like doing it anymore, just stop. And then the next day you do a little bit, and throughout the summer it becomes almost a habit you enjoy, because you can see how your plants develop and grow. This spinach is just taking off like crazy, and so is this lettuce. So I've got lots of greens, and I need to actually sell some because I've got more than I need, and I've got more coming up, and it won't go to waste. If anything, it'll become compost, but I'd prefer it to be eaten. As you can see, these onions are taking off like crazy. I can cut this top off this onion and plant more onions. And so these onions they make it very easy to have a reproduction. As you can see, this is actually, it looks like an onion, but it's part of the pond life. And there's no onion scent to it or anything. It's hollow and kind of foam filled. It's some kind of pond grass that puts off these little seeds. And so I just let him go back into the pond, and nature takes its course. As you can see, the flower bed is flowering quite well again. I don't know the name of these flowers, but it's kind of neat. They make a small seed pod under each flower, and they produce these little black seeds. And so it's really easy to get this plant spread again. And I actually cut a lot of seed pods off and harvested a lot of seeds last year, and thus not so many of them came up this year, which is okay because they were overpowering the bed. I don't know what this is, I forget the name of it again, but it puts off a lovely little blue flower in the spring early, and then it kind of dies off a little bit. But it's, as you can see, it's a bit of a ground cover, and when it dies, it makes a really nice natural sheet mulch. As you can see here, there's this rough stuff. Oh, this is the sticks from last year's plants, and they just provide a cover. They'll be covered in compost here. I haven't gotten to this bed yet, but once they're covered in compost, they'll break down and they'll add a really nice carbon layer. The carbon layer is important because it attracts the worms, and they break down and make really nice soil for us. I guess the only bed I haven't covered yet in this video is just up here, and this is my Zone 1 bed. This in the herb garden. Zone 1 is closest to your house, so you can just come out of the kitchen and grab what you need and get back in without having to go very far. So we have some just attractive, like the peonies. They're some of them are nearing the end of their season, while there's a couple that are still just flowering. As you can see, they put out these big seed pods, and you don't want to plant the seeds very deep, and I haven't had much success with trying to replant them. I need to look into a little more on how. The bleeding hearts have kind of had their day as well, but while they die off, other flowers are flowering. The rhubarb, I thinned it out quite good. I got I think 4 or 5 4-cup bags, and it's producing more now. The tomatoes are flowering and doing well, seeming to enjoy the summer day. The peppers are coming along well. This guy's just starting to grow some, and see a little pepper there. These ones are doing really well. This onion here again produces the bulbs at the top, so I can replant these and have more onions. And the chives are doing really well, and as they die off, their flowers die too, of course. And you can break them up a little bit. This one might not quite be ready. Yep. Well, it's hard to show you, it's getting windy, but it produces little tiny black seeds, and more chives come up in its place. My chives are spreading around every year, it seems. So again, this is the mystery plant. I don't know if it's corn or what it is. Cilantro everywhere. It's just beautiful, which is really nice. My wife loves it in soups. So all we gotta do is just come out the door up there in the kitchen, come down the stairs, and here's our cilantro garden for our soups. This little tree here is doing quite well. I had 2 coming up in this area. Again, probably from bird droppings or something. And this one is really taking off this year. The other one died. But one is it's not always successful with these little sprouts, but sometimes it's very successful. I've doubled my amount of trees in my yard this way so far. And it'll be a couple years before they're more than seedlings, but some of them are coming really well. I used some twine to tie these peas so they start to grow up the apple tree. Once they get themselves trained, they should grow right up. They were laying down, so I tied them up a bit. And the spinach that I planted in here didn't really do well, but it does get dry on the top here. So I need to add some grass clippings in here because I think it's just too dry. You go down a little bit and it's not bad, but when this tree was planted, they didn't compost much, and I'm not sure what techniques they used. The tree's doing well, but it could use a little help with the soil. As you can see, the apples, they're getting larger, and they will get quite large. In comparison to my hand now, it's coming, but it'll get to the size of my fist. Here's one that's even getting bigger, and they're quite a nice eating apple. We've got lots of them. Remember how easy it is. All you have to do is start off with some cardboard and some grass clippings, hedge clippings, whatever you like, and you can start making your own garden. As you can see, it works quite well. All this was just rock and sand before. Now it's growing plants. Here I'll be harvesting more water with the ponds once I get these systems finished. And the trees planted this entire hillside, you wouldn't know it was just bare grass before.